mother of all deals. The long-awaited and pending India-European Union Free Trade Agreement has finally been signed, and it is being hailed as a historical handshake. Let me tell you why. Because it was 20 years back that both of these countries shook hands that they would be working towards an agreement, and either of them did not know that it would be a fractured global world where the nations are fighting, where US has decided to make everybody enemy, including their closest ally, Europe itself, and rising protectionism will pressurize, will motivate and encourage to bring together the fastest growing economy and the richest single economy market that exists across the globe to come together and sign up the biggest free trade agreement, which is almost equivalent to North American Free Trade Agreement or Japan-European Union Free Trade Agreement. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and today we are going to understand that why this free trade agreement between India and European Union is historic, is a milestone, and exactly why even after this milestone being placed in the global landscape, US has decided yet another time to criticize. So let us begin the story from understanding that what exactly has unfolded. The unfolding has been of a free trade agreement which has been in negotiation since 2007. But if we talk about the recent times, as I just discussed, we have seen so many things unfolding. For example, sanctions which were placed on India, tariffs which have been placed in India. So, where India, being the fastest growing economy, wants to be an export-led economy. So, our doors have been shut off from US's side, one of our biggest export markets. So, what do we want? We want to expand our export into diverse places, and that is why you will see in recent times we have been signing free trade agreements so that we have better market access, be it with UAE, be it with Oman, and now with European Union. But at the same time, European Union also needs a market, also needs exports, also needs imports, and a time where there is a lot of global chaos, especially their long-time ally US spinning into a very different spiral that they cannot predict. And this is where, which has been pending for almost a week, has been hinted towards, has finally materialized. Now, why are we calling this the biggest deal of our times? Reason being, it is catering to 2 billion people, equivalent to 25% of world's GDP. And as I said, it is bringing together two economies. First, the fastest growing one. Second, the single richest market that exists as a buyer. And in the folds of this very free trade agreement, there are not just 2 countries, there are 27 countries which are part of European Union, and then we have India in here too. So this will easily clarify that why it is landmark deal, why it is historic, why it is being labelled continuously as mother of all deals. And this is where I also want to bring in the thought that such a historic trade deal being signed, which marks a huge moment for India's export-led growth, it is also drawing US attention. And the problem here is that it is negative attention. Because for the longest time, US has wanted to curb India's export-led growth, which is oriented towards Russia. If Europe does not be with US, Europe does not side with US, that becomes a problem. So, US has gone ahead and said that you are wasting our efforts. You are not helping us put shackles around India, pressurize India into giving up. Rather, you are giving an opening to them, and that is why one of the closest aides of Donald Trump has said that Europe is funding war against itself because Russia and Ukraine are in war and Europe is part of it through NATO. And if India is being facilitated through Europe, through this particular free trade agreement, it is nothing short of Europe financing the war against itself. So you can understand that India getting an inlet into the biggest market across the world is a problem because it is a known fact that there is no stopping after this. India is still looking into free trade agreements, be it with ASEAN, be it with other countries, so as to ensure that we have the entry into markets, especially where we can export with minimum tariffs or no tariffs at all. Now, on this note, when we have a fair idea that what is unfolding at the global scale, now let us move to understand that how this has come across, how this has gradually unfolded. So, as I said, this negotiation for free trade agreement began in 2007, but the ties between India and European Union are far back from there, because in 1962, it was the time where early economic engagement had begun between India and European Economic Community that existed back then, and over the years, up and until especially 2007, we had seen that the negotiations for a broad-based trade agreement and investment agreement existed. But the cooperation up and until this time was limited, because we had to make a political foundation. Then there was strategic elevation in 2004, where the partnership was upgraded to a strategic partnership, and it was in 2020 that a future-oriented vision was adopted, and there was a new thrust to the negotiations after 2007. And especially in last 2 years, there has been an accelerated vision, accelerated effort towards the finalization that lies in front of us. Now, when we are talking so much about the free trade agreement, it is eminent from the perspective of exam as well to understand that what is included in this. What exactly is included in this? This free trade agreement covers trade not just in goods and services, but it also focuses on investment protection, regulatory cooperation, which has been a major contention point when we were talking about negotiations, and also sustainable development. Now, when we are talking about this whole architecture of the agreement, we have to understand the market access that India was looking for. It is going to get it for 96% of the traded goods, where there will be either elimination or reduction of the tariffs which were present, and a phased liberalization will be present to protect sensitive domestic sectors. For example, there has been reduction of duties from 110% to 40% for EU market in terms of automobiles, but EV has not been facilitated, electronic vehicles, because we want to protect our sensitive sectors. And the whole focus of this free trade agreement is on tariff barriers, non-tariff barriers, reducing them, and also eliminating the regulatory friction. Now, if we talk about the exact numbers in front of us, we get to see that India is gaining, especially in terms of 4 specific fields, that is textile and garments, leather and footwear, marine products, and also the knowledge intensive sectors, where India has speciality in terms of pharmaceuticals and specialty chemicals. For all of this, India is going to, especially for knowledge intensive sector, there are going to be faster regulatory approvals, harmonized standards which India will assure, and easier access to generics and specialty drugs. Apart from this, when we are looking towards EU gets access to India's growing economy, where there is a large middle class which are looking towards premium consumption. That's why their demand for premium consumption is increasing, and this demand growth is going to be stable and long term. So, EU is going to benefit in terms of sectors such as wines and spirits, automobile sector, especially the premium segment that we get to see in India, be it Benz, be it BMW, be it Skoda, etc., and industrial exports as well. Another key place which is beneficial for India also is services and intellectual property, because IT, engineering, telecom services, this will bring in stronger intellectual property protection also, and this will facilitate India's innovation ecosystem. So, here we get to see a win-win situation on both ends, where there is so much to gain. I gave you an example where there is discussion that the duties will be reduced to 40% from 110%. Now, the trade deal has been signed. The legalities and the paperwork would be done over the upcoming months, and the final draft would be present, and this deal will come into execution in the very next. This deal will be executed in the upcoming years itself. Now, this is where I also want to highlight the fact, when you look at certain segments where India is gaining, be it pharmaceuticals, be it textile and garments, you will understand, and also marine products, you will understand these were the export orientation. These were the export goods that were oriented towards US market also. So now we will not be having dependence on only one specific market. We have our gates wide open for 27 countries as of now. And remember, this is where we are not only getting duty-free access, tariff-reduced access, but also this happens to be the richest market across the world. So the possibilities in the upcoming times are also huge. They are also long-term. This decision is long-term and stable as well. And that is why we also clearly get to see that this is not something that is going to change the economic game for us. It will have direct strategic and geopolitical implications as well. Because we are in such a globalized world, you cannot parallelly cut off from other segments and be engaged only economically. Because especially in this particular free trade agreement, because this is not only economic, it clearly reflects that European Union has decided to partner with India. European Union wants to side with India, and they have their reasons to do so. They want to be insulated from the unsustainable, unpredictable behavior that is coming especially from North America. Other than that, they also want to ensure their stable growth as a union itself. Apart from that, India also has its reason where it needs European Union, where it can stabilize things for longer term. But this also shows that there is a strategic partnership coming together. Because if you look at the strategic perceptions of Europe and also India, they clearly align that how the Indo-Pacific scenario should be. They clearly align especially in terms of supply chain resilience and how it should be managed. And also in terms of trade and technology, they clearly partner on this. So this is through Trade and Technology Center. This is through Trade and Technology Council. But over the spectrum, the consolidation is not just economic but strategic as well. Now bringing the geopolitical angle. As I said that this is a partnership not just for stability, not just for economic benefit, but to also keep the unpredictability aside, and also the hegemony, also the unilateralism, minilateralism that is building, sourcing from US, that aside. So this also works as a counterbalance to what US is doing. And it also helps to make sure that there is no unilateral supply chains running where the dependence is excessive, especially when we are talking about China. So we also want to create a counterbalance to China-oriented supply chains as well. So this brings back the era of global trade. It reinforces that the democratic market economies are coming together. Global trade might actually get back to rule-based trade, and it might also help European Union to come back into the geopolitical game as a singular identity, be it for Indo-Pacific and of course for India. As I said, it is a great time to position itself in terms of trade. Now on this note, we have discussed the gains, but we also need to look into the fact that how it is going to support our individual, how it is going to support our country-based endeavors as well, such as Make India, global value chain integration, which has been on India's agenda for the longest time. So there is a direct boost that will be provided to it. If we look from the end of European Union, it is not only getting to enter fastest growing large market, it is going to reduce its dependence on China also and US also, and it gets to expand and contribute to green technology and also advanced manufacturing. So across the globe, the global system, we will see that there is again homecoming of rules-based multilateral trade which exists, and also it will focus on resilient, consistent, diversified supply chains which are not dependent on just one country and can be disrupted at any point of time. But at the same time, when the picture looks so glorious, there are certain things that India needs to focus on so as to ensure that we actually get the best out of it. The first would be phased implementation, ensuring that the sensitive sectors are protected. Furthermore, skill upgradation. When we are talking about getting the advantage, we have to improve our industrial competitiveness and skill upgrading, especially when we are talking about knowledge-based sectors, which are going to have the biggest gains from this FTA. So, this FTA will deliver on its terms if we upgrade and implement it wisely. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. I am going to conclude on the very simple note that yes, this is a it is a historical trade deal which marks the structural shift that how India is looking at trade, how India is establishing strategic autonomy through trade, which is bringing not just economics but geopolitics and also diplomacy together, which is positioning India in a very suitable place across the global landscape. Let me know your thoughts on this particular free trade agreement in context of the emerging multipolar economic world. I will be leaving you with a practice question here. You can put down your answers in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.